Elon finally got me. Welcome to Man Cave Media. Today we are taking a look at a Starlink, something that I never thought I would ever own. It was a product that was not on my radar. Even though my wife and I own a travel trailer and we do like to camp, so far all the campgrounds that we've gone to, we have full LTE service on our cell phones. Of course, I always thought it was cool, and of course, you know, working in tech, I thought it was always like a neat toy, something that I wanted to play around with, but I never saw it as something that I would own. Fast forward to last weekend. My wife and I went camping out in Point Mugu. If you're not familiar with Southern California, Point Mugu is off of PCH between Malibu and Oxnard. And the campground that we were at is Sycamore Canyon, which is, as it's named, in a canyon. And we had zero service, like no service whatsoever. And normally that wouldn't really be that big of an issue. I mean, of course, it's a safety concern. You know, if we ever needed something or if somebody needed us, we wouldn't have any way to get a hold of them. But under normal circumstances, we wouldn't really mind that. However, I had a 3-day weekend last weekend, and that's why we decided to go camping. But my wife did not. She had 2 Zoom classes that she had to teach on Monday. And so she brought her hotspot along with her because she thought she was just going to, you know, teach her classes in the trailer, which was, you know, not a problem at all, but no service. So we started thinking about, what are we going to do about this? You know, are we going to pack up and leave early so we could go home? Are we going to drive to the closest Starbucks and she's going to teach the class in the car? All of these options didn't sound very fun. So I looked up the closest Best Buy that had a Starlink Mini in stock. And luckily enough, there was one in stock at Oxnard, which was 6 miles away. And so I ordered it online. We jumped in the car. We went over, picked it up. And I set it up on site at the campground. And I have plenty of footage for that. We'll get into that in a moment. But first, I'm not really going to get too much into the specs of the Starlink. This has been out for a while. And there are plenty of videos out there where people are like testing download speeds and whatnot and really getting into the specs of it. I'm just going to give like a brief rundown. The difference between the Mini and the standard kit. The standard kit is Wi-Fi 6 capable, and it has a separate router. The Mini is only Wi-Fi 5 capable, and it has a wireless router built in. So it's all one unit with a separate power adapter, of course. But it's also much smaller in size. Actually, I say much smaller. It's not that different. It is smaller, but not by a whole lot. But overall, like footprint, because the router is built into it, it is much smaller. But it's only capable of Wi-Fi 5, which is more than enough for what we need on a normal basis. Even for my wife's Zoom classes, that would be, you know, no problem at all. So I'm going to cut to the video right now of me unboxing it and getting it set up. And then we'll come back and I will tell you our experience with it, how I feel about it. And also I bought a case for it. So this is kind of a mini review of the case that I bought for my Starlink. So on to the other video. Emergency Starlink kit so my wife can work. Yeah, new toy for me, essential product for her. So full disrespected unboxing happening right here on site, Sycamore Canyon Campground. Oh, Elon uses a lot of cardboard. So I'm assuming this is the base. There is the dish. Looks like it's got like somebody manhandled it already. We have a very long cable. What is this? It's a proprietary power cable. And power brick. And of course instructions. I'm doing this a little barbaric. I'm sure this is not the way that Elon intended for you to take his power cable out. I don't care. So one good thing, I mean, I guess it needs to be super long, but it does give you a super long power cable. This thing is insanely long. Oh, it's got the nice little SpaceX logo on the power brick. I like that. Nice touch. Both ends are the same, so you can't plug it in incorrectly. It's got a nice little weatherproof gasket on it. I like that. All right. Follow me. Oh no, that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to go inside the trailer. Actually, let's use the end of the extension cord here. That should be fine. All right. So the instructions for setup in the app say we need a clear view of the sky, so I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way out here to that little clearing. Probably right here. Should we read the instructions? Nah, we don't need instructions. Look at that. So there is your input and output. The included. So the Mini, I'm sorry, I should have said that at the beginning of the video. This is the Starlink Mini, and the switch is integrated into this guy rather than being separate like on the full-size one. Right. I'm assuming it's gonna go maybe like so. There we go. All right, let's go turn on my power. Not a sponsored piece, but shouts to EcoFlow. Our power is on. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere like I was, and this is kind of like a last minute thing, you'll want to download the Starlink app where you have service prior to going to the middle of nowhere. So we're going to launch the app and start setup. We have the Mini, confirm, check for obstructions. I think we have a clear view, yeah? What do you think? Should I go further out? I think that's good right there. Clear view. Let's see. Let's check for obstructions. Allow while using app. Allow. I'm ready. Point the camera up. Alright. Okay. I have a clear view. find a central location, which I have. My Starlink is plugged in. There it is. So go to your Wi-Fi settings. There it is. All right. There we go. Allow. Continue.
Hold on.
It's asking me for a Starlink. I mean, it's asking me for an update, but let's real-time feedback. No, we're not doing any of this. Sorry, Elon. Submit. Figure. So block this part out. I'm gonna name my network really quick. Settings, which looks like it's gonna take a little bit. I have to sign up for the service still, but yeah. All right, so optimizing connection. Says, are there any obstructions? Oh, it's still calibrating. Okay. Go ahead. All right, so getting your account set up is a little bit confusing at first. I was able to get to the account setup location by clicking Activate Starlink, and that was a little bit hairy. I recommend you get it in a clear spot first, let it connect to the satellite before you start doing that, because I had no service, so it kept erroring out. Once it calibrated itself and it found a satellite and it connected, then I was able to go through and complete the process, because it will start sending data to your phone, and it will allow you to get out to the internet and set up your account, pay for whatever you want to pay for, and get everything going. So find a clear spot, let it calibrate, let it do its thing, and then create your account. Decide how much data you need and pay for what you're going to pay for, and save yourself the headache that I just went through. But just an FYI, this happens with a lot of things I buy. Directly out of the box, it has a software update. And again, once it got online and got connection to the satellite, it immediately grabbed that update and started downloading it. And yeah, I mean, everything else was pretty much straightforward. Just follow the instructions in the app, and happy browsing. So my experience overall, we were in a pretty wooded area. We had a lot of big trees around us at that campground. And once I got it dialed in, though, it worked really smooth. My wife was able to do 2-hour-long classes over Zoom with a lot of different participants. She was sharing multiple screens, and everything went off without a hitch. It was beautiful. Couldn't have asked it to perform any better. So on the download speeds, of course, it is capable of 144 megabytes per second, but I paid for the Roam service and the 50 gigabytes of data that come with it, because that was more than what we needed. So when you pay for that service, it does limit your download speed, but I was still getting much better than what DSL would provide. I was getting around 30 or 40 megabytes per second on the down. So that was more than enough for my wife to do her Zoom call. In the beginning, when it was still like, when you initially set it up, it does like a map of the obstructions, and then it will calibrate for any obstructions. While it's doing that, it usually takes about an hour. In my case, it took about 45 minutes. But while it's doing that, you can watch the pings while it's doing it, and it will dip. And like one of the long dips we had was 5 seconds, which is an eternity, especially when you're trying to teach a class over Zoom. And so I was a little bit concerned about that. But once it finished building its obstruction map and it leveled off, really good experience. So really quick before I end the video, let's look at the case that I bought. So Best Buy had a case for it. for like $77 or something like that. No, I think it was more like 75. But anyways, I found this one on Amazon for $50. $54 actually, and it's got one of those funny names, Wolf Wahouse. Wolf Wahouse. I'll leave a link for it down in the description. It will be an Amazon associate link. So if you click on that link and you make a purchase, you'll be helping out my channel. Thank you very much in advance. But anyhow, it was $54.97. So with shipping, it was $60, and it seems like it's pretty good. It only has 45 reviews, but 4.5 stars, which was good enough for me to give it a try. And actually, let's switch to the overhead for this. All right, I'm going to apologize in advance. These are a little bit larger than what I'm used to reviewing on my channel. Here's the mess of the power cable that I made when I was packing it up. So in the basic mini kit, they do include this adapter for mounting it to a pole, which I'm sure I'll use in the future. And here's the power brick. The power cable has like this water resistant or waterproof like little gasket on the end of it. And then the Starlink Mini itself, about the size of a large dinner plate. And on the back, it's got an adjustable kickstand. And then underneath, you have the power plug. And behind that cover right there is your RJ45 connector for the built-in router. And then, of course, they give you instructions. So here is the case. I like that it had these nice orange accents on the latches. It's pretty nice. And as you can see, it is laid out. Woo, it stinks. It has a very strong glue smell, but as you can see, it is laid out for all the Starlink accessories. Straight away, let's see. Yep, it'll fit like that. So I don't even have to clean up my mess that I made with the power cable. It's just going to fit in there, just like that. Power brick. There we go. Like so. Has a spot for the optional pole mount. So it goes like so. And then the Starlink itself sits right on top of the whole mess. Actually, I think it goes in upside down. Yes? No? Maybe? Yes. Like so. So nice, handy dandy little package. Yeah, I like it. I like it. So there were other options that were a little bit cheaper on Amazon, but not a ton of them had a lot of reviews. And so I was trying to find one that had the most reviews. This one had quite a bit. Like I said, only 45, which is not a lot in my opinion, but more than most of them had. And I wanted a hard shell case because, you know, we're going to pack this away with other gear in our trailer. So I wanted to make sure that it didn't get damaged. And there were some soft shell cases that had some pretty decent reviews. There was a backpack that also had some pretty good reviews. So if you tent camp and you do a lot of backpacking and you want to have service, you know, that's also an option. But I went with this guy. But going back to the Starlink, I mean, overall, if you have a pretty good clear view of the sky, then there's a pretty good chance it's going to work just fine for you. What you have to realize, and what took me a minute to figure out, is you have to give it at least an hour. If you're doing something like a Zoom call or anything like a Teams meeting or, you know, a Google Meet, like anything like that, any kind of video stream call, you have to give it that hour. Like I said, it took 45 minutes for me, but you got to at least give it that hour to build its obstruction map and compensate for any obstructions, and then it levels out. And it works really well once you give it that time. So luckily I figured that out before, we had gone the second day we were camping, so I had a couple days to play with it before my wife had to teach her classes. So I had time to get that all figured out. But just so you don't make the same mistakes that I made, right away when you set it up, align it, let it build its obstruction map, and after that first hour, smooth as butter. If you're in a place that's really wooded and you don't have any clear view of the sky anywhere, you're probably going to have some issues. You might still get it to work, but it was really unhappy. The very first place I put it, there was kind of a big tree right to the left, and it wouldn't do that initial connection. It was really unhappy about that. So I had to move it to where there was no trees at all, and then finally got it to connect. And once it connected, it was fine. I put it back where it was with that tree to the left, and I aligned it the way that it wants you to align it in the app. There's like an alignment tool. I aligned it the way it wanted me to align it, and it was fine. But getting that initial connection, you really got to have a clear view of the sky. So if you're in an area where there's a lot of trees, it might not work out for you. But overall, love the product. It really worked out well for us. We are going to keep it, and it's going to become part of our travel gear. All right, that's all I have for this one. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed this video and help feed that algorithm. I hope you have a great afternoon, and like always, thank you for watching.